E.T. Phone home. I'm sorry, guys. Wrong movie, same director. Hey there, guys. What's up? What's going on? It is Autobot Mike 18 here, back with another movie review. Guys, that intro was really corny, and I don't know why I went with it, but I'm going to keep going, because why not? Guys, I am back with another old movie review for you guys. As I said at the beginning of May, I want to give you guys as many old movie... Thank you, police. I want to give you guys as many old movie reviews as I possibly can before the summer ends. This is the one time when I can do these. This is probably like my 7th or 8th one that I've been doing so far this summer. And it is also like last week's old movie review that I did for Independence Day in honor of the shitty Independence Day resurgence. I am reviewing a movie that I reviewed specially for another movie that's coming out this coming weekend. So guys, the film that I'm going to be reviewing in this video is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's right, Close Encounters of the Third Kind is from director Steven Spielberg. And if you guys couldn't already tell by the posters hanging on my wall, Saving Private Ryan, Jaws, Indiana Jones Last Crusade, and I know you can't see it, but I also have 2 other Indiana Jones posters for Raiders and Temples hanging up over there. If you couldn't already tell, I'm a big Steven Spielberg fan. And the reason why I picked Close Encounters of the Third Kind to review is because Spielberg's newest movie is releasing this weekend, this 4th of July weekend. The BFG comes out tomorrow in wide release in theaters, and in honor of the release of that movie, I decided to go back into Spielberg's filmography and pick a movie that I have not seen from him. There are a lot of movies I haven't seen from him. The guy has made over 25 movies in his entire career, and boy oh boy has he had a career. And I picked one of his older movies to review, so I hope you guys enjoy this. So just a few facts about Close Encounters of the Third Kind. This film was released in 1977. We're going all the way back to the 70s, where Spielberg also released, this was like his second big feature that also got him a significant amount of attention. Jaws was the film that came out 2 years before this that he directed, and everybody was like, that was a damn good movie, let's watch out for this guy. And then Spielberg came back and blew everyone away even further with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and this was probably the movie that made people say, okay, this is a guy who's going to have a great future, and boy oh boy did he end up really having one. Guys, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, let's get into the premise of this movie, and then I'll talk how I felt about the movie and rating-wise and everything. Without spoilers, I don't spoil. I know this movie came out in the 70s, so I should spoil it because it's, like, if you haven't seen this movie already, what's wrong with you? But then again, I just watched this movie for the first time, so there you have it. Anyway, getting into the plot behind Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the movie is set in 1976, and we follow a few, I would say maybe 2 different stories from the human perspective during the time when a lot of UFOs are being noticed, a lot of strange things are happening, people are being abducted, they're going missing, random lights are seen flashing in the sky, maybe loud noises are being heard, people are losing electricity and power, but we essentially focus on one human character named Roy, and he is played by Richard Dreyfuss in this movie. He's a family man, you know, he's one of those power line electricians, you know, if your power goes out or something, he's one of the ones who's going to be sent out there to, like, try and figure out what's wrong with it and go and fix it, look at the lines and everything. So that is what Richard Dreyfuss does. So during a big power outage in the Indiana area one night, Dreyfuss's character goes out to investigate it, and he comes in contact with a ship with a large beam of light, and this forever changes him. He is forever now obsessed about seeing a certain shape. It's messing up his life with his family, his wife, and 3 children. and it's just changing him. He has to get to the bottom of this. What did he see? What's going on here? Is there extraterrestrial life really out there? What the hell's going on? And at the same time, the government definitely gets heavily involved into this movie as well. So guys, that essentially is the basic premise for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And after I had seen this, after I watched the movie finally on Blu-ray, which looks amazing by the way, I went back and tried to think of any like sci-fi movies that went as big as Close Encounters did at its time of release in 1977. And the only one that I honestly thought of was a movie that came out the same year as this and is definitely a better well-known film. That's Star Wars. The first Star Wars also came out in 77 and delved heavily into special practical effects and giving us things that we as an audience had never seen before in all time. So it's kind of a shame that Star Wars came out right before this movie, when this movie also had heavy practical effects usage. Spielberg has always been a director who's always believed in using practical effects over CGI, and I definitely applaud him for that because it does look real and more authentic. That being said, I just wanted to make that known. This was one of those movies that when it came out, I could totally see an audience losing their shit. Like, I could totally see that happening. I could see a couple in the theater sharing a thing of popcorn. The first time an alien ship whirls by on screen, they literally drop the popcorn. The woman screams. The guy's shaking. I could totally see that happening for an audience who had never seen anything like this before. So I tried to put my head in that mindset. And I didn't even need to as I watched this movie, because I myself was blown away by the effects that were on screen for a movie that was shot on a budget that probably didn't go over $20 million in the 1970s. And I automatically applaud and acknowledge the movie for its accomplishments for that right off the bat, right off the beginning. So without a doubt, I was stunned at what I saw in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I was genuinely impressed with this movie, and I was also genuinely entertained by this movie. Something that Steven Spielberg, guys, that he does incredibly well as a director, and I would say basically every single Spielberg film that I've seen, even some of Spielberg's produced movies that I've seen, like Back to the Future, for instance, I always get this idea of wonder and awe, and just this feeling that I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. Because Spielberg, the way he makes movies, he does such a good job of giving us such a nice setup. Like, for example, for a really cool scene in this movie that I really enjoyed, there's a young boy character in this movie. He lives alone with his mother somewhere in Indiana. The kid's name is Barry, and the first time we're introduced to him, it's like the third scene in this movie. He hears noises, his electronic toys and light-up toys start turning on. It's not really scaring this kid, but it's just really making him intrigued to find out what the hell's going on. And he goes downstairs to find out, and I'm sitting there watching this scene like, what the hell's going to happen here? Is this kid going to get taken? Is he going to see an alien? Are we actually going to see an alien, practical effects costume? Some guy in an alien costume that looks really cool for its time, even though we're not? I had no idea what was going to happen, because Spielberg has such an excellent way of setting us up with something fascinating or something odd or weird or mysterious that's happening, i.e. the toys lighting up and everything, and then giving us a really good payoff. By the end of the scene, this really isn't a spoiler, it's one of the first scenes of the movie, we don't see anything. We see that the fridge has been ransacked, but nobody's in the house. So it then leaves me wanting more. He has such a great way of dropping things throughout his movie, dropping hints and dropping little surprises, but not giving us the full thing to the final 25 minutes of the movie, and that is ultimately what I must commend Spielberg for. He gives us the magic. He makes us want to want. He gives us the desire to want more, and that thus we enjoy his movies. We're blown away in utter awe when we get that payoff that he sets up for us so well. I can think of many other examples of movies that have done this, his movies that have done this. Perfect example, Jurassic Park. We're given little hints that dinosaurs are back, that Richard Attenborough's character in that movie has made giant dinosaurs, that they are actually roaming around a park. We don't actually see them until about, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes in the movie. It's been a while since I've seen Jurassic Park. but we're given little clues throughout. Maybe we'll see a footprint or something like that. Maybe a gate's been scratched or something, but the characters haven't actually seen a dinosaur yet. Then we hear faint rumbling in the background. The ground is shaking. The music starts swelling because everything like that builds up to a certain moment and payoff in a Spielberg movie. The music swells. We get a very low angle shot. We see the characters in the frame and there's a giant dinosaur. I don't want to review Spielberg's whole filmography here, but this is what this man is so masterful at doing. He is so excellent at combining all of the tools of filmmaking to give us the experience that we pay and long to see, and that is why Close Encounters of the Third Kind is a great movie. It's not only mysterious, but it's fun, it's exciting, and it's even thrilling at moments. We're down to get to the bottom of this mystery along with Richard Dreyfuss's character. That's what I love. The screenplay is excellent, and Spielberg as a director is the master of his craft. The guy knows his stuff. He knows what he wants to give to the audience. He knows what he wants to reveal at each scene. Everything is so well planned out beforehand. He knows what he wants to, where he wants to go with his movies before he even gets on set. And that is why this guy is truly one of the greatest directors of our time. Just had to get that out there. I know. I had to get a lot out there, all right? In Jaws, he so beautifully builds suspense. He's able to create a perfect tone and keep that throughout the whole movie. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. What else works so damn well with this movie other than Spielberg and the script? I loved the use of practical effects in this movie. Holy shit, I put myself in the place of some guy in the 1970s and thought to myself, I would have been mind blown watching this on the big screen. Like it looks so amazing and so far ahead of its time for a movie that came out in the 70s. It looks like they utilized excellent practical effects for ships and lighting effects on the ships and spinning gears and everything. And even the aliens themselves. It looks like they just outdid themselves for a movie that felt like it was 10, 15 years ahead of its own time. And that is just one of the many things that I loved about this film. It blew me away on a technical level because they obviously had very little to work with this movie. CGI was not even a thing back then. Everything had to be practical. And I still don't understand how they made some things look the way they did in the final cut of this movie. The mothership, the other ships, I don't know. I don't think I'll ever know until I watch the behind the scenes making up. That I have to watch. But yeah, that's just why Close Encounters of the Third Kind is so great. The sound is excellent. The sound design is incredible in this movie. Sounds of the ship, just the sound effects in general that are added in the movie are fantastic. The score by John Williams, need I say any more? John Williams did the score for this movie, and he kicked ass, as he always does. He's the master of composition. Come on. I even thought the cast was really, really good. I loved Richard Dreyfuss in this film. He was likable. I was along the journey with him. I wanted to see where this was going to go. I even felt bad for him in moments. He's lost his mind, and he essentially is driving his family away, and that made me yearn for him to find answers all the more. I thought he was a very well-written character, and I thought he did a great job in his scenes. He pulled off being amazed very well, and I thought his reactions worked very, very well. I thought he was great in this movie. Another big surprise to see an actor in this film, Francois Truffaut, who is the director of many films. He's a French filmmaker. He's a French director. He directed, very famously known for The 400 Blows, a very good coming-of-age story. I would definitely recommend you guys check that out. Regardless, he is one of the government officials in this movie, and that was another character I not only enjoyed, we didn't see a ton of him, but when we did, I enjoyed him, and I was amazed to see him in this movie. Obviously, his American accent is very poor, so it was hard for him, I can imagine, but I thought he did a great job. That was another aspect of the script I really loved that I forgot to mention with you guys. I had seen this plot point before in Super 8, but that's because Super 8 came out after this movie. Super 8, now that having seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Super 8 is not only just E.T., it's E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. More so Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But I love the whole government aspect of the story in this movie. I love how the government is keeping secrets, and they have the idea that they make a cover-up story to actually do something with the aliens and investigate into the aliens, and they have to get people out of a certain area, so they make a whole cover story up. I love that. I love that they explored that in this movie. I thought that was smart. I've seen it in other movies before, yes. But I love whenever they have government reliance in the movies, and it's not like too over the top, hitting you over the head like, oh look, the government is heavily involved. But they do like little subtle things that you're like, oh, that's really cool. I love how they're having the government characters do that in this movie. So I thought that was really cool as well with the script. And then, of course, guys, the final 20-25 minutes are absolutely mind-blowing. I sat there in awe watching them, and I was in shock. I was like, I felt like a little kid again in some moments of this movie, watching it again. I was blown away by the effects. I was blown away by the sound. I was blown away by the overall experience of seeing something that I've seen before, but I'm seeing it done better in a movie that came out before all these other movies I've seen it in, which have come out after this movie. So that's enough praise I have to give Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's adventurous, it has a great story, a great journey for a character, and I really enjoyed myself watching this movie. I don't think it's absolutely perfect. That is why I am not going to give this movie a perfect score. I did have but maybe 2-ish problems with this movie. I do feel that the family characters of Richard Dreyfuss' character are in the story when they're relevant, and then they kind of just get dropped out and we never see or hear from them again. And I kind of felt like that we needed to have them brought back in the story, even though it would have been maybe cornier, but I felt like we needed more with them, you know what I mean? And my one other beef with this movie was actually the ending for Richard Dreyfuss' character. I was so into his journey up until the end of the film. I was like, that's a bit of a reach for me. I don't know if I can fully buy that the government especially is just going to let his character do this. But that's all I'm going to say without spoiling anything. It was a reach for me. I didn't quite buy into it. It felt a little rushed. And it felt like, they're just like throwing him into this scene and then there he goes. Like, that's it. End of scene, end of movie. So that was one thing that was a bit of a reach for me. Then again, this has like 3 different versions of the movie. I watched the original theatrical version. I haven't seen the other version, so maybe there's more explaining why that happens. I don't know. But guys, in the end, I'm going to go very high with my Close Encounters of the Third Kind rating. I think this is fantastic Spielberg work. I am going to go solid 9.5 out of 10 or a grade of an A for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It is a great family movie. It's just a great sci-fi movie in general. It gives you that wonder and awe and that Spielberg magic, and that's why you need to see it. Boom! End of review. But definitely a family film. I would definitely take your kids to see the BFG this weekend or whenever you want to. Then show them this. Then show them Spielberg's whole filmography and teach them what a great director he is. I'm kidding. Show them everything. Show them Indiana Jones. Show them just everything. Show them Saving Private Ryan, Schindler's List. Maybe not Schindler's List, but whatever. Show your kids every one of his movies. Guys, there you have it. Those are my thoughts on Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think of this movie? Let me know down below in the comments. What are your thoughts? And what are your thoughts on Spielberg as a director? Are you excited for his new film, The BFG? Let me know down below on that as well. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.